Hi, this is Alex Mitchell with the Go Tech Yourself channel, and today I'm bringing you the most and least accurate product quotes that I've heard out there. So, this is me. I'm the Chief Product Officer of ICX Media. I write a lot both on Twitter and Medium. Check out my website there. Also, I write a newsletter a couple times a month with just a different topic in tech, in product management, in startups. Published a couple books that you can find on Amazon. And then obviously you're listening to me on YouTube and watching this on YouTube. Can you please give me a subscribe and share this video if you like it with friends, with coworkers? Really appreciate it. Trying to get this YouTube thing off the ground. Every little bit helps. But let's dive right in. And so I was searching around for quotes the other day as I was kind of working on a blog post in product management. And what I found is the product management quote lists are everywhere. You can type in what I did here on Google. You'll get top 10 lists, you get top 39 lists, quotes to live by. You'll get a lot of artistic quotes. But I noticed one thing on almost every list as I was looking for kind of a quote that fit this post I was writing, that while many of them are good, there are definitely some quotes out there that are wrong, that could send a new product manager, an aspiring product manager, down a pretty dangerous path, or really just have them do something that's not in their best interest, their team's best interest, their company's best interest. So I want to kind of set the record straight here a little bit and share a few that I liked a lot, and then a few of these dangerous, wrong product management quotes, and explain why I think they're wrong. So first, let's start with some accurate ones. So let's start good. Let's start positive. Here are a few that I really liked. So one here from Reid Hoffman. If you've really seen any of these lists and quotes, you've probably seen this one. If you're not embarrassed by the first version of your product, you launched too late. So what Reid's obviously getting at here is, you want to get a version of your product out there early. You want to get feedback from a customer. Yeah, of course, you don't want to be embarrassed by every single part of the product, every single feature you put out there, but you want to have enough out there that customers can react to and know more. So there will be parts that you are embarrassed by. That's what Reid's going for here. This one from Jeff Bezos, short and sweet. Be stubborn on vision, but flexible on details. I think about this one almost every day, at least every week, as a product manager and a chief product officer of my company. You have to change the details a lot as a product manager, but you want to keep that vision consistent. You want to know what you're building, why you're building it, but the how, the exact day to day, the tickets, those things can change. You can be flexible. You can change to make the scope smaller. If you need to deliver something sooner, you can find creative approaches. You can defer some work. So those details can be very flexible, but really you want to stick by the vision. If you're changing your vision all the time, it's going to be really challenging to motivate your team, to motivate engineers, everyone really. But those details, they can change. At the heart of every product person, there's a desire to make someone's life easier or simpler. If we listen to the customer and give them what they need, they'll reciprocate with love and loyalty to your brand. So you may not know Francis Brown. I didn't before I came across this list. But what I really loved here is just the focus on the customer. There's so much noise as a product manager. There's so many pieces of information coming at you all the time. But really, he makes it simple. Francis makes it simple. Focus on the customer, give them what they need. They'll be loyal, they'll retain, they'll give you more of their money, they'll tell their friends. Really just simplify a lot of challenges there. Obviously, you don't want to listen exactly to what the customer is telling you to build, but keep listening to the customer, keep getting that feedback and making it a part of your process. That's what Francis is getting at here. Steve Jobs. Of course, we couldn't go through a list without having a Steve Jobs quote. So we've got people think focus means saying yes to the thing you've got to focus on. But that's not what it means at all. It means saying no to the 100 other good ideas. So again, think back to what I said before. Product, you're going to have so many different ideas coming at you. And honestly, a lot of them are going to be really good. You're going to want to build a lot of them. They're going to have great reasons. If you had an unlimited tech team, you would build a lot of them. But really, you don't. Almost every company has limitations. Probably every company has limitations. So you're going to have to say no to a lot of those good ideas so that you can really focus on the few great ideas. So, Steve Jobs really said it well here, but say no to the good ideas so you can say yes to the great ones. I'm not going to read through this full one from Lauren Lee, but she's the director of product at care.com, which does kind of nanny shares among other things. And she really talks about the different kind of archetypes. And it's how it's important for you not only to understand those different archetypes, but where you add value to your team, where you add value to your company. Make sure you spend a lot of your time in those places you add value, and then ask others, obviously, to give feedback and give direction on the areas you're not an expert. So, if you're an engineer turned product manager, you might be able to lean a little bit more on the technical side. If you're a business person turned PM, you're going to lean more on that marketing side, pricing, things like that. So kind of lean in to the area where you're stronger, and don't be afraid to give control, give power, give decision rights to people in those other spaces. If you try and do it all, you'll go crazy. And so I really love how Lauren expressed that sentiment here. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. So we talked about listening to customers. We talked about that being a huge input for a successful product manager. I like what Ken, mentions here, is that it's the breakfast of champions. So you should not be eating feedback for every single meal as a product manager. You'll go crazy. If you just build what your clients are asking for, you'll probably miss out on a lot of opportunities. You'll just build iterations of your current product, most likely, instead of dramatically different things. So again, eat feedback for breakfast, but don't eat it for every meal. And then from Leah Hickman, move away from outputs to outcomes. I really like this way of framing things. It reminds me a lot of the objectives and key results we use. We used at my last job at Upside, and that we also use at ICX. But you're really trying to move away from just getting things done to actually moving metrics you care about, right? You don't want to just ship a feature. You want to make sure that feature is valuable, that it drives an outcome for your customers that's meaningful for your business. That's really where you want to keep your head as a product manager. Outcomes over outputs. Then the last one here. So from Adam Nash, who had great stints at LinkedIn, eBay, Wealthfront, and Dropbox. Quite simply, it's the product manager's job to articulate two simple things. What game are we playing? How do we keep score? So remember back to the Jeff Bezos quote, a lot on the vision, the game we're playing. Where are we going? What are we doing? Why are we doing it? And ultimately, what are these scores that we keep? So that's back to the quote we just talked about, outcomes. So if you know what you're playing, what space you're playing in, why you're playing that game, and how you keep score, how you win, that might be all you need to know really as a product manager. And then you need to make sure your team knows those same things. Because honestly, you're probably going to be the best informed, but you want to make sure your engineers, your designers, your other product managers you work with, you all can articulate those two simple things. If you can, you'll be on the same page. Everyone will be making great decisions that align with those areas. You'll be in a really good place as a product manager. And then here are the inaccurate product quotes. These are probably the ones you've been waiting for, the ones that are dangerous, that could set someone down the wrong path, that I found in a lot of these top 10, top X lists. First one, pretty surprising. This one comes from Jack Dorsey of Square and Twitter fame. Make every detail perfect and limit the number of details to perfect. So this is almost the anti-Reid Hoffman quote from before. The reason I think this one's dangerous is because if you're a perfectionist and you're a product manager, you're really going to have a hard time. It's really difficult to know without putting a feature out there exactly how customers are going to react to it. If you try and make it perfect, chances are you're going to spend way more time than you should have on that feature. You're going to realize they only cared about, this 20% of the feature, not this other 80%. You wasted that time. You could have used that time to make that 20% way better. So I really don't like this quote because it uses perfect so many times, makes me uncomfortable. And that's really just not the world that product managers live in. From David Pogue from the New York Times, if you continue to improve a product enough, you'll eventually ruin it. Maybe this could apply to some products, but if I think about something like Airbnb that I've used for, almost a decade now at this point, and just seeing, how they've continually improved that product while not adding feature bloat, while adding things contextually, making everything so much easier and more delightful to use. I think that's one of the best counterexamples to this quote. I don't believe, if you continue to improve a product enough, you'll ruin it. I think you have to be aware. You have to make sure you're not just adding features to add features. You have to kind of keep stepping back and making sure you're serving customers, you're serving real needs in the market. But I don't think you're bound to ruin a feature or a product by continuing to work on it. I think that's a pretty dim, kind of sad way to look at product management. A great product manager has the brain of an engineer, the heart of a designer, and the speech of a diplomat. This is from the vice president of product at LinkedIn, Deep Nishar. And I get what Deep is going for here. He's trying to talk about how product managers have to flex between a lot of different areas. They have to have some expertise in technology. They have to have expertise in design. They have to be diplomatic because they're working with so many stakeholders. But I think he takes it a little bit too far. He talks about, the brain of an engineer. Product managers don't have to be engineers. They don't have to be able to understand everything that engineers are working on, the code they're writing. They really just need to understand the trade-offs, the timing, ways to kind of ask the right questions. Heart of a designer, sure, they have to be involved with design. Sure, they can be very passionate about design, but they don't have to be designers at the end of the day. And so I think Deep has a good idea here, but I think he just takes it a step or two too far that could actually confuse a few new product managers. Data beats opinions, from Anonymous. So I actually saw this one on quite a few lists. I really wonder who Anonymous is first, but the thing I don't like about this quote is, you're not going to always have data. I think about, a lot of the startups I've worked for, you don't have enough game film. You don't have enough data to make a lot of decisions, or your data might be conflicting in a lot of places. And so what do you do then? You just sit on your hands? You don't make a decision? No, you try and ship something small. You try and gather data. You set up an environment to collect data. But honestly, at the end of the day, it is on a product manager to mix data with their intuition, with their understanding of the market, with their understanding of their team's capabilities in many cases, with their understanding of where their company is and wants to go, the goals of the company. Those things all weigh in too. I don't think it's fair to say that data universally beats opinions. Data is great. It's a piece of the puzzle, but it doesn't always win, and it's not the end all be all. Only move forward with creating a product that will be above the bar, from Brian Lawley. The reason I don't like this quote is one, it's very simplistic. Like, yes, we all want to build products that are above the bar. We all want to build differentiation. We all want to build the next big thing. That's almost every product manager out there that I've met. The problem is you often don't know exactly what you're building until you start to get feedback from the market. You have a hypothesis, you have some maybe customer feedback, you have some market understanding, and you want to move forward with something small. Again, you're kind of feeling that theme throughout this talk that you can get feedback. Again, if you kind of only move forward with things that are already above the bar in your mind, you probably have gone a step or two too far before releasing. You've tried to make that perfect product that Jack Dorsey talked about before in the other quote that I disagreed with. And really, you're probably just going to release too late, which means you're not going to be able to iterate as quickly. You're not going to be able to ship a ton of value and actually get to above the bar fast enough. So I disagree with this one because, again, just it kind of sets that expectation that you need to wait for perfect or some version of perfect before you actually call it done and you say ship it. And then the last one here from Alberto: features don't disrupt industries unless they disrupt meaning. So this one is, I think, just a little too kind of complex, a little too, up in the sky, a little too much flourish on this quote. It kind of makes your mind do a few loops. Am I disrupting meaning with this product I'm shipping or this feature I'm shipping? And if it doesn't disrupt meaning of everything, am I, not a good product manager? So I think it's just a little bit too out there, a little bit too, too far away from practical, too far away from something that can help most product managers. So I saw this one on a few lists and it just kind of stood out to me as really not that helpful and more, just causing your mind to do a few mental gymnastics and ultimately not come up with anything better. So this one is another one I just don't think is very valuable to most product managers. So please feel free to share any quotes I missed, or if you want me to rate any quotes and say if I agree with them or not, share them in the comments here on YouTube or share them on Twitter. There's my handle. Would love to weigh in on other quotes and hear some other opinions here. So again, you can find more from me in all of these places. Please do subscribe. Check out my other videos. If you like this content, you'll probably enjoy those as well. And share it with all your product friends, your coworkers, family, friends, all of that. Really appreciate it. Thanks, guys.